So today, we're continuing a bit of a theme. Last time was technologist versus engineer. And some people asked, okay, but how are architects different from engineers? From the outside, these roles look similar. Models, calculations, buildings. Surely they're all doing roughly the same thing, right? Short answer, no. Longer answer, they're very different professions with different education paths and very different careers. Today, we're going to break down engineer versus architect, what each one actually does, where they overlap, and most importantly, how they think differently. And we're adding a new wrinkle. What happens when agentic AI enters the picture? Should be technologist this year. So here's the simplest way to think about it. Architects design intent and experience, whereas engineers design performance and safety. An architect might ask, how does this space feel? How do people move through it? And how does daylight move through it? An engineer might ask, will this stand up? What happens in a storm or an earthquake? What fails first and how do we prevent it? Same project, different priorities. AI doesn't change that difference. It changes the speed of the work. So let's start with architects. Architects are responsible for the concept of a building. They think about layout, proportions, light, materials, circulation, and how humans interact with the space. They're usually the ones meeting clients early, translating vague ideas like, I want it to feel open. I want it to feel calm. I want it to look iconic. And then turning that into something you can actually model and draw. Architects also coordinate heavily with planners, municipalities, and building codes, and especially around use, accessibility, and zoning. So yes, they draw, but what they're really doing is designing experience. Engineers come in and say, okay, now let's make this real. Structural engineers make sure it doesn't fall down. Mechanical engineers make sure it can be heated, cooled, and ventilated. Electrical engineers make sure it can be powered safely. Engineers live in the land of math, physics, and margins, loads, stresses, failure modes. An architect might say, I want a massive open space with no columns. And the engineer says, cool, here's what that costs. And here's how thick the beams need to be. Engineers don't exist to kill creativity. They exist to keep creativity from killing people. Now this is where it gets interesting. There is overlap. Both architects and engineers use similar design tools. Both deal with codes. Both attend coordination meetings that could have been emails. And on smaller projects, one person may wear multiple hats. But the difference isn't tools, it's priority. Architects prioritize human experience. Engineers prioritize physical truth. When they work well together, you get structures that are beautiful and robust. When they don't, you get expensive redesigns. Architecture has a structured educational path, professional degree, internship period, licensing exams. You just don't declare yourself an architect.
I'm an architect.
The title is earned, and AI won't change that gatekeeping. If anything, it raises the bar for judgment and responsibility. Early career architects do a lot of production work, drawings, revisions, coordination. The creative authority comes later. Over time, architects lead projects, manage clients, or run firms. AI will compress the production phase by being able to do a lot of the detailed, repetitive, and time-consuming work. The judgment phase? That's still human. Engineers follow a similar model. Accredited engineering degree, heavy on fundamentals like physics and different types of advanced math, an engineer in training period, professional licensure. The system is slow on purpose because both are liable for damages resulting from design flaws. But liability for engineers focuses more on technical compliance, while architects have broader responsibility for the overall design and project coordination. AI won't replace that liability. It will sit under it. Freshly minted engineers do a lot of verification work, calculations, models, detail checking. With experience, they move into decision-making roles, signing off, leading teams, owning risk. AI will accelerate the analysis. It can't take responsibility for outcomes, at least not yet. Architects and engineers meet in coordination. This is where projects succeed or fail. AI will improve coordination, fewer clashes, faster iteration, but it won't fix misaligned incentives or bad communication. That part is still on people. Here's what I think changes in the next 5 years. Not science fiction, just practical shifts. For architects, AI will generate layout options faster. It will test daylight circulation and code constraints in the background. Architects will spend less time drawing boxes and more time deciding which boxes matter. For engineers, AI will run large parameter sweeps. It will explore load cases, materials, and configurations. Engineers will spend less time crunching and more time deciding which assumptions are valid. In both cases, the work moves up the abstraction ladder. Fewer keystrokes, more judgment. The risk isn't replacement. The risk is becoming a professional who only knows how to push buttons without understanding what's underneath. The professionals who win in the AI era aren't the ones who resist tools. They're the ones who understand fundamentals, can spot bad outputs, and can frame good questions. If you're trying to choose between these paths, here's the question you need to ask yourself. Do you enjoy ambiguity or closure? Architects often live longer in the idea phase. They're comfortable with iteration, critique, and subjective feedback. Engineers usually want concrete answers. They want numbers that balance and assumptions that hold. Neither is better. But if you put the wrong personality in the wrong role, they'll be miserable, and so will everyone around them. Engineer versus architect. Different training, different careers, not rivals, not interchangeable. Same mission, turning ideas into safe, functional, meaningful spaces. AI doesn't remove the need for either role. It raises the bar at how good you have to be at it. I'll see you in the next one.